And yeah, welcome to our today's free trial lesson. Just making sure I did set up everything correctly here, guys. As you know, always important. Yup, looking good. Just want to make sure here. Not the best on the bitrate though. So just quickly want to make sure this is working fine. Tuesday evening. Now it's getting better. Let's have a second look here shortly before we start, guys. Yeah, looking good. Just gonna wait for the something that is stopping us from doing what we want, I guess. So let me just quickly listen to it again. So we lowered the resolution a little bit to make it easier to play. Alrighty. Yeah, it ain't that easy currently. I'm not sure what the problem is exactly. I said just have the fastest connection possible around here. Yet we still have those issues. YouTube does look okay for now. Maybe it's stabilized. It doesn't look like it though. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna try some stuff out here. Nope, that's the wrong one. That's what I want to see. Just closing a few things that might help to lower this down. To yeah, just somewhat give it a better resolution. Okay. seems to get better. Maybe have a second look here at our stream manager. That bitrate does look fairly better. So I guess we gotta start it now. So yeah, on YouTube it seems to work a bit better, just in case. So we're gonna try it out now. Alrighty, so welcome everybody to the stream. In case it isn't working, let me know, guys. Other than that, we're just gonna continue. Yeah, won't be that much better for now. I'm not sure why. Maybe just the traffic in the evening is too much here. But I said, like, yeah, I have like a download of 300 megabytes or 300 mbits per second or so. It's really fast. So I hope it's fine. So let's just start into it. As I said, my name is Marcus. I'm an MTT coach at the Academy of Poker, and yeah, just gonna give you today for our free trial lesson to give you a little insight on how the course looks like, and that's why you will get all the information. So make sure to stay up until the end to know everything about our course. Common problems that occur when you start playing poker. Just to list a few here as you see. So which tournaments are better? How much money do you need to play? Where to play? And what to do with software, for example. And also can you get somehow useful information in any way? All in all, how can you just grow fast, become a good player immediately, and yeah, make money right away? Because, of course, for a lot of people, this is the number one thing to play poker. Shouldn't be, to be honest. It should be about loving the game and try to just become better than anybody else all the time. And then money should be second or third here. Let's start with the reason why you play poker. There are two different kinds of things you can do. You got the entertainment factor and you got the income stuff. So when you do it as a full-time job. And of course, there are quite some differences in that. Uh, but I will always try to have a look into the stream to make sure it is running fine. Doesn't really look like it. Uh, 300 mbits per second or so. It's really fast. So I hope it's fine. Okay, so it is starting now. As I said, the thing is when I do the MTT streaming, I have a delay, and that delay can create some sort of buffer, which makes it then easier for the for the stream to be stable. So that's the case here. But at least it did start now. There's a small delay right now, so as said, I'll try my best to keep it running here right now, keep it somehow stable. But now, for now, I'm continuing here. So as said, we got the stuff when you say poker as entertainment. It gotta be clear for you, and you got to admit it. It is just poker for fun. It might be your number one hobby, and you might be a good player, but you shouldn't worry too much about other players being that much better, or you're not always having a clue what to do. Really important note is here as well because of gambling addiction, for example. Never play with the last money you have available. So I mean, even if you have to ask the question, do I play poker or do I get groceries? I think it should be clear to you what the answer is here. So only play with money you have available to lose, because poker, as much as it is a game of skill, it is also still a game based on luck. So you can never expect to get money back when you invest some. So therefore, make sure that you know, okay, I am able to lose this money, and if it happens, nothing has changed. I still had my fun, and I played some of my favorite games. So that's exactly what you should do. Have fun. If you do poker for income, it's a different thing, because you gotta admit that as well. It is your job, and you need to work on your game. You can't be using the stuff yeah, the stuff to when you when you started like 5 6 years ago, because that is trash now. So it's not up to date anymore, and there's so many new kinds of how to adjust to poker and how to think think poker and play poker, that you should always update yourself to make sure that you're still ahead of the game. According to time, which is also, of course, a big difference when you are on the one side a fun player or on the other side working as a poker professional. Because when you only have like a few hours during the evening to play, it should be clear to you that you will not play some of the normal speed tournaments, which means they will last about 6 to 10 hours roughly, so 8 hours in average. If you think about, you come back from work at 7, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you got to eat something, then you start playing poker at 8, and then you play a tournament that lasts 8 hours. Good luck with that, because it will be 4 o'clock when you finish, if you're lucky. So then you have to get up at work to work at 7, 8 again, and you can't do that every day, because 3 hours a day of sleep will not be really healthy for you. So in that case, you got those hyper turbo and turbo tournaments, or multi-table sit and goes. Multi-table sit and goes, they are limited to a number of players, most likely 180 or 360, and the tournament already tells you how the tournament length will roughly look like. So it usually says when you enter it, in the info to the tournament, says this tournament lasts around 4 to 4.5 hours or something like that. For for turbo and hyper turbo tournaments, it's also like an at least you have an estimate. Like turbo tournaments will most likely last about 4 to 5 hours, depends on how big they are, but in general you're gonna have 4 to 5 hours. And hyper turbo tournaments mostly don't even last for 2 hours. So that's how you know it. And for the 10 hours a day, which means that you do it as a full professional because you don't have any other job and you only do that, then of course you got the regular speed tournaments. And that's why you call people regulars as well, because yeah, they play every day and they play all the tournaments available for their buy-in level. Those tournaments could look like this. You got the freeze out, which are pretty much the normal tournament. You pay your buy-in fee once, you get a chip stack, and you play as long as you have chips. So you either win the tournament or you bust somewhat earlier. If you make it to the top 10, 15%, depends on the tournament structure, you get some money back, or you even win some money, because you get additional money, more than you have paid, of course. For the knockouts, same type so far. The only difference is here that you not only have the normal freeze out prize pool, so that you not only get money out of this prize pool, but half of the buy-in fee you pay will be conducted into the knockout prize pool. Meaning every time you bust a player, you get a certain part of that, which is called the bounty. So the opponent has a bounty on his head, and when you knock him out, when you bust him, take all his chips, you get that bounty. That way, you can already earn some money without even being in the money as in the normal tournament. So again, if you make it to the top 10 to 15%, in those cases, you might even not make the money, but you still busted 5 to 10 players and therefore made a small profit. Those are way more furious, and you will see way wider and crazier calls just to get a chance at those bounties. Number 3 is the satellite, and the satellite tournament has its own rules, so to speak. Of course, normal poker, but the prize pool is not spread all over the positions, with position 1 um, getting most of the money, but it gives equal amounts of money to a specific amount of players. So let's say 10 players will get the same amount, and this will be paid out in tickets, because satellites are qualifying tournaments for other tournaments, bigger tournaments. It could be online or it could be live, so you can also play satellites for whole packages. You might have heard about the EPT, the European Poker Tour, or the WSOP, and when, for example, PokerStars make those satellites for the EPT, you not only get the main event buy-in, but you get also money for accommodation and travel, and yeah, some extra money to just spend during the time you are there. Sorry, my nose is itching. Next up, last but not least as well, rebuys and re-entry tournaments. Re-entries are, let's not say new, but so far the newest expansion of the types of MTTs. We'll get to that in a bit. The rebuy first. So they're not that different. During a specific amount of time, mostly the registration phase, you are able to get into the tournament once again. If you lose all your chips, you just have to pay the entry fee once again, and you get additional chips. This has this happens once you are knocked out. This is not possible in the freeze out. That's why there's the difference, because in rebuy you are able to get chips again when you bust it. This asset will be just a specific time, will be possible just for a specific time, and after that it will not be possible, and it works out like a freeze out. The other next different thing is here that you have an add-on that you can also pay for. You get more additional chips to your stack, and from then on it will be played as a normal freeze out. You got the same stuff for the re-entry. The only difference here is, like, first of all, you're not having those add-ons, but the second thing is as well, when you bust, you not sit at the table and pay the entry fee, get chips again, but you have to get a new ticket, so you have to get a new seat, and then you will be seated at another tournament table. Of course, it could happen that you get on the same exact seat when the tournament is not that big, but most likely you just have to pay the fee again and then get onto another table and start the tournament once again. Now, I already started to talk a little bit about the bankroll management. Okay, we're a little bit behind. It's not that bad right now. Okay. Yeah, bankroll management. Let's jump into that. So, of course, this as a first small explanation, it helps us to protect ourselves from losing the bankroll. How does it do that? How does it help us? So, the bankroll management means it helps you, or it gives us clues or gives us ideas how to be able to manage to not lose our bankroll. So to spread the money we have over as many possible buy-ins as possible. As you see, we suggest if you just play normal regular speed tournaments to have at least 150 to 200 buy-ins. Example for that, you play $10 average buy-in. You can do the math pretty easily. $10 times 200 means you should have at least $2,000 to play $10 average buy-in. If you do play turbos and hyper turbos, which a lot of people also do, you should be around 300 buy-ins. I'm going for the real most like fairly passive way and try to have mostly like even 400 to 500 buy-ins, depending on the schedules I play. I'm not having too many turbos or hyper turbos in there, so it's like really passive if you think about the normal speed tournaments where you have 200 buy-ins in there. But yeah, that's just what you do when you're a professional, because you of course you want to lower the risk as much as possible to not be afraid to lose all your money, even if you have like a downswing of 2 3 months losing 100 or 200 binds. Therefore, you have that, and in that way, you can easier work with those periods of having bad luck, or maybe not playing that well, or just really running really bad. Because then you can just lower the buy-ins a little bit and you have 500 buy-ins again. Or, as I said, if you lose 200 buy-ins and you usually go for 300 buy-ins, you can still play at that buy-in level because you had like a 200 buy-in buffer even. So that could be a thing you can go for as well. You're choosing, of course. A little something about me as well now. So I'm German. I was born in Bremen. Moved to Prague some time ago for love. Met my girlfriend during my internship here, so I decided to move to Prague. And why I like online poker so much. So the thing is, when you go going into casino, so you first of all you have to travel there. It might not be directly next to your door, so you have to go there. You have to most likely dress up. A lot of casinos in Germany have restrictions on what you can wear. Like it's not like in the US where you see people walking around in basketball jerseys with shorts on and flip-flops. It's not that easy in Germany, not everywhere. So you have to dress up, and then you play one tournament. You pay a pretty high buy-in fee because they are not offering you 10 euro tournaments like you have online, but it's like 100, 200, 500 euros for those tournaments. and then you play. And even though you maybe know or you're sure you are one of the better players, you could be really unlucky, like nothing is working that day. And yeah, sometime you would just bust the tournament and that is it for the day. So you leave the casino without being really happy. You lost a lot of money, and yeah, you even have to get home, and that is it. When you play online poker, as you see, you have many, many tables available. So, as I said, in general, when I stream, I have like 6 tables open. When I play on my own, it's like up to 12, depending on my mood or the concentration level I am on this day. But in general, as you see, you can play more tables. So on the one side, it will be more exciting to do this because then you have more action, and it's not like you have to wait 2, 3 minutes to just get dealt another hand, which doesn't have to be good. But you can just fold on the one table or fold on 7 tables, and you have one great hand on table number 8, which you can play. Sometimes you might even have 2 or 3 interesting hands, and yeah, then at least you have something to do, right? It's a little bit more exciting. And as I said, if you bust one tournament, you can just easily open up the second table. Also, as you see on the left, you have stuff like the Hold'em Manager that can help you to figure out your opponents, which makes it also easier to play them because you got some statistics out of them because you already played with them for quite some time. And in that way, it will be quite helpful to make the best decisions versus them. Now, yeah, talking about online poker, maybe if you're not familiar with it, it might not be that easy. And you think, okay, don't they scam people, or is that all even legal and stuff like that? Um, just as a small explanation, so people deposit money. They deposit money into the poker networks, and they play tournaments. The tournament buy-in includes something called rake. The rake is pretty much the casino fee that every poker room takes for people playing in this tournament. And this rake, of course, is profit for the casino, but this one is also used to secure that every account is safe, to secure that the software cannot be cracked or hacked, and that everything is fine, everything looks good, and you just can play what you want without having the doubts of maybe someone is cheating there. Because especially on the bigger sites, this is just not possible. And they do everything they can to protect if somebody, some kind of big hacker is maybe after years and years possible to somehow crack it. They will find it out immediately and just ban this player and also just close that hole that he somehow digged in. But yeah, so they use that rake, and yeah, with that rake, the sites as PokerStars, Party Poker, 888 Poker, for example, or GG Poker, yeah, make their money, and yeah, also secure that you feel great to play on their side, that you feel good and feel comfortable to play there. Just a little things about the about the rooms to tell you that are good and not so good. So for PokerStars, for example, you have the best quality software all over the world. It looks good, it's easy to use, and yeah, you will not have any problems with it. As you might have seen in in my news section or in the advice section, you see that PokerStars has big tournaments. You got the Scoop, you got the W Coup, you got the Turbo Series, you got the Micro Millions, you got the Bounty Builder Series. There's a lot of tournaments that have high guaranteed prize pools every week. Sunday Million, $109 buy-in with $1 million guaranteed. The $11 Sunday Storm that has $300,000 guaranteed. So yeah, just a lot. Also, in general, a really wide range of tournaments. So not only do they offer No Limit Hold'em, they offer Pot Limit Omaha. And as one of the fewer sites, they offer stuff like Deuce to 7 single draw, Badoogie, Stud High Low, Pot Limit Omaha 8 or better, so high Pot Limit Omaha High Low, Raz, and yeah, just a bunch of stuff. They also come up with stuff like Fusion Poker, and yeah, you could name it all. I wasn't able to play that because it's not allowed in the Czech Republic, but you see all the advertisement for that. On the other side, disadvantage in those kinds of things, of course, the best software, the best prize pools, the best tournaments. Also, of course, definitely just pull the strongest players. So in average, you have definitely the best players. Of course, you will always, especially in the lower buy-ins, have enough fishes and fun players and bad players that you can play. But in general, you will have players uh, that, or more often, will have players on your tables that at least know what they're doing in some sort, and therefore it will not be that easy to always just get paid out by sets or straights when you have the nuts, because they will start thinking a little bit, and some really obvious plays will not be possible. Also, the average field size, which AFS stands for, is pretty big, so that means the variance is also pretty big. So even though you might get in aces, for a big amount, you will lose to kings often enough, because there's like 100,000 hands are played almost every minute, and therefore, if you think about 80 aces winning versus kings and 80 out of 20 and 80 out of 100 times, you're going to lose 20% of the time, which is every fifth time. And if there's a few 100,000 hands played out within minutes, you see that aces versus kings will often enough see kings being the winner there. So of course, it's annoying if it always happens to you, and you might sometimes get that feeling, but believe me, it's just math. And in the long run, if you look at your stats, you will see that aces do win versus kings often enough to make those 80% definitely worth the while. Next up, we got party poker. Positive things about here, we got quite some overlays. Overlays means that the software guarantees a prize pool for the tournament, but the amount of players in that do not reach that guaranteed prize pool. So the software has to pay some extra because they guaranteed that money, and they cannot just leave some money out of the prize pool in the end, which is pretty nice. They have quite the good rakeback, and the average field size is not as big as on PokerStars, and the players are in general a bit weaker than on Stars. Disadvantage here: the schedule is not the most stable one, and the software definitely has its flaws. Next up, we got 888 Poker to make it a bit quicker here. Same stuff. You can play there with a lower average field size and weaker players, because the prize pools aren't that big, so there are not as many players in there. And also, you can try to qualify for the WSOP, which is really appealing to quite some players, because that's like the number one dream for every player, to sometimes play, or to sometime play this 10K WSOP main event, and maybe make it deep into day 6, day 7, yeah, to win millions and millions of dollars. Last but not least, we got the GG Poker, which also has the low average field sizes in general, and a lot of weak players, especially um, players from Asia. They do on the webs, like I play on GG Poker quite a lot, and there's a lot of Asians that really like to gamble and make really weak calls when they should know they are far behind with that, but still make the call because they just go for the gamble there. Of course, there are also players from other countries, but just because GG Poker, which is like the same software as Natural 8 uses, for example, or OK Poker, Natural 8 is really big in Asia, in the Asia Pacific room, so therefore there are a lot of players from China, Taiwan, and so on and so forth. Also, the rakeback system is pretty good. If I think about against stars with my normal chess, I get like 5 to 6% of rakeback maybe. And on GG Poker, with pretty much the same binds I play, and the volume was even lower in GG Poker, but I would say in average I get around 15 to 20% rakeback. It's not a lot of money. It's maybe like a few dollars more per month, but still, it's at least something that is pretty nice. On the other side, one small disadvantage here is that the prize pool is fairly small in comparison to stars or even party poker. But yeah, other than that, because of the players, it's really still nice to play there. Let's talk about software while I'm having a look still if the video is okay. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, let's continue. So, talking about the software. We have trackers, we have calculators, we have GTO solvers you can use. For trackers, we have, for example, the Holder Manager. The Holder Manager 2 was the latest version up until last year ago. Now we got the Holder Manager 3 that changed some stuff, but all in all, it's still a database where you can gather your stats while playing on the sites. And yeah, you get all your statistics to see how often you raise, how often you 3-bet, how do you raise versus other positions, and so on and so forth. Not only about you, but also about your opponents. And this is just great because, first of all, if you play versus an opponent you have already played 400, 500, 1,000 hands with, those numbers that you gathered from him just have a meaning. So you see, okay, this guy 3-bets 15%, which is a lot because you should be around like 8 to 12%. Just to make it even more extraordinary, let's say he has a 3-bet of 20%. That is huge. And this means he's definitely 3-betting way too much. And what does this information help you with? It helps you in that way that you can see, okay, if he 3-bets way too much, that means he must have a lot of weak hands that he 3-bets. Therefore, I can use my hands that I would normally fold or that I would just call with, because for, let's say, for example, you have ace jack suited, ace queen off, and you're not sure, you would normally just instant call the 3-bet and then see a flop and yeah, just see what it will look like. But if you see that guy 3-bets 20%, he's gonna have way more weaker hands than ace queen or ace jack suited. So in that way, you can then start to 4-bet him. And you will not only get more folds, but you will also make more chips in that way. Because most of the time, players that 3-bet that widely are also too sticky, means they call too much, and a lot of times you will then get his ace 9 or 7-6 suited or so to call and will make some extra chips. Of course, you got to be careful. Sometimes he might hit flop to straight or flop 2 pair when you have top pair, something like that. But in general, you will make more money than when you 4-bet against him. When you see somebody has a 3 on the same 1,000 hands and he has a 3-bet percentage of 3%, that means he's a total nit. So if he 3-bets, that means he is really, really strong, because 3% is basically just aces, kings, queens, and ace king. So that helps you, as I said, in that way to make plays of you way easier, because you get so many information that, yeah, pretty much tell you what the best play would be. Next up, we got them calculators. They help you to see what equity hands or hand ranges have versus other hand ranges on specific boards. For example, that's what you can use Flopzilla for. On Flopzilla, you can also create your own pre-flop ranges. For example, what you can raise, what you can defend, and what you can 3-bet, position versus position, big stacks versus stacks. So how many big blinds versus how many big blinds. And as said, you can also like work on flops and turns to see what the equity shifts are once a board is there, because then it just pretty much calculates the ranges from the one position versus the ranges from the other